Hello, welcome, dear students. We will continue our further lecture of physiology, lecture number 13. So, last time we have seen the lung capacities, the lung volumes, and the total capacity of lung acquiring the air, and some of them is inspired, some of them is expired. We have seen everything. Right now, we will see the lung volumes first in detail. So, whatever the total amount of air inspired during respiration in the lungs is generally we call as a tidal volume. So, tidal volume is the volume which is inspired and expired normally. It is about 500 ml. So, capacity of tidal volume is generally 500 ml. It includes the volumes filled in alveoli and in passage of the air. So, the total tidal volume is divided into inspiratory and expiratory, and in between or meanwhile whatever the air resides back in the lungs is called a residual volume. So, inspiratory reserve volume means IRV is nothing but the volume of air inspired totally, and that is about 3100 or 3100 ml. Expiratory reserve volume or ERV is generally called as volume of air expired, and that is about 1200 ml. So in between these two, some air is residing in the respiratory passage, and that is called as residual volume or RV. That is volume remaining in the lung following maximal expiration. It is approximately about 1002 ml. So residual volume is not measured in respiratory or respirometry, but measured with a helium dilution method. This is another method. So helium dilution method, or by a body plethysmograph. So plethysmograph is another way through which the residual volume can be calculated. Whatever the air taken in the respiratory passage is totally not expired during the expiration, and some is residing there back in the respiratory passage, and that is nothing but the residual volume. So lung volumes. So lung volumes can be divided into these three: tidal volume, inspiratory reserve volume, expiratory reserve volume, and residual volume. So these are explained or defined by another way is that in a single respiration, the total volume of air breathed in and out is about 500 ml, known as tidal volume. And from this tidal volume, about 72% air reaches to the basic unit of respiration, means that is the alveoli, where the real exchange of gases takes place, and other occupy the remaining respiratory passage. So alveoli are the basic unit of respiration present in the wall of lungs. Inspiratory reserve volume is suppose in an adult person he can respire or inspire up to 500 ml as the total tidal volume in the respiratory passage, but in deep inspiration, like during yoga or pranayam, deep inspiration, one can inspire more air as excess and reserve air. So more excess is stored in the lungs temporarily as a reserve air, that is about 2 to 3 liters, and in respiratory passage known as inspiratory reserve volume. This is another way, another definition. So expiratory reserve volume means after a normal expiration, one can blow out about 1300 ml of more air in atmosphere. That is nothing but the expiratory reserve volume. In last time we have seen 1200, but here 100 ml plus or minus may be there. And in residual volume, an adult person, even after forceful expiration, the lungs and respiratory passage still contains an amount of about 1006 ml of air, and this is known as residual air. So these numbers are changed here in the previous reports. Previous report was average report, and this one report is the deep inspiratory report. So during pranayama or yoga, whenever we take intake air deeply or we inspire deeply, so maximum air is stored in the respiratory passage, and in this way these are the total lung volumes, which can be changed as per the rate of expiration or inspiration, or we can say respiration. Now lung capacities. Lung capacity also depends on the activity what we carry out, or the situation, or the surrounding, everything we can call. So first is the inspiratory capacity, means how much air we can inspire in a one normal inspiration. So the total volume inspired during maximal inspiration, it is about 3600 ml. Inspiratory capacity, this is tidal volume, and this is inspiratory reserve volume. Means inspiratory capacity is equal to tidal volume plus inspiratory reserve volume, and this is nothing but the inspiratory capacity. So functional residual capacity, FRC. So functional residual capacity means expiratory reserve volume plus a reserve volume, or we can say respiratory volume. Volume remaining the lung following a normal tidal expiration. It is about 2400 ml. So this changes as per the situation changes. Then vital capacity is the total capacity. It is the total volume that can expired following maximal inspiration, and this is vital capacity plus tidal volume plus inspiratory reserve volume plus expiratory reserve volume. Means total respiratory or total single breath calculation is nothing but the vital capacity, and it is about 4800. This is the maximal capacity we can say. And total lung capacity is including all these capacities, or we can say all these types through which either inspiration, expiration, reserve, or total vital capacity is nothing but the total lung capacity. We can call it as a TLC, and this is the sum of all the lung volumes, that is tidal volume plus inspiratory reserve volume plus expiratory reserve volume plus reserve volume. So this is the all type of volumes that are total called as TLC, and this is about 6000 ml. So this is the maximal of all these inspiratory and expiratory volumes. So this is the capacity of the lung in which the amount of air can be involved, or amount of air that can be entered. So after entering the air in the respiratory passage, due to the pressure, the oxygen and carbon dioxide, these two elements in the lung passage and in the blood or plasma, is exchanged in the lungs. Means exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide is carried out in a respiratory lung alveoli. So alveoli are the basic unit where the exact exchange of gases takes place. During respiration, exchange of gases occurs at different sites in the respiratory system and body. In the course of this exchange, the gases are transported, particularly the oxygen and carbon dioxide. These two are the main elements that are exchanged in the body. First is between the respiratory surface of lungs and plasma. So first exchange of gases takes place in the lungs and plasma. So plasma is the blood part of blood, and whenever the oxygen is transported in plasma, so the blood carries it to the tissues. So this is also known as pulmonary respiration or external respiration, because it carries out outside the tissues and in the lungs. Therefore it is pulmonary respiration. And second one is the respiration or transport of gases takes place between blood and tissues. The blood cells, particularly RBC and plasma, these both are the elements, and tissues. So in between blood and tissues. So first is in lungs and plasma, or we can say lungs and blood, and another is blood and tissue. So this is also known as tissue respiration or internal respiration, because it takes place inside the body or inside the system or inside the cells, we can say. So it is blood. So first of all, the air from environment comes to the lungs. From lungs it goes to the blood, plasma. Then from blood it goes to the tissue. And exact exchange of gases is carried out in the tissue level. So in return from environment, the oxygen comes through the lungs, plasma, and up to the tissue. And from tissue, the utilized oxygen is converted into carbon dioxide, and that carbon dioxide is passes back to the blood, back to the lungs, and back to the environment. So this is the complete respiration. Both above activities, that is lung to plasma and plasma to tissue, are nothing but an exchange of gases between lungs and blood and tissue, or we can say cells. So this is the transport of gases simply carried out in the body. So what is the exact exchange of gases, how it carried out in between the lungs and plasma, or we can say alveoli and plasma cells. So suppose this is the wall of alveoli, or we can say wall of lungs, in which the alveoli is there. Alveoli are nothing but the small air sacs and very thin membranous air sacs on which blood vessels or blood capillaries forming their network, and in that network the exchange carried out. So how, whenever the air comes from environment into the lungs, and when it enters into the plasma, so here exchange is carried out, and after exchange the entered oxygen is converted into CO2, and that CO2 is thrown outside the cells and enters in the alveoli, and during expiration the CO2 is thrown out. In return, whenever intake is there, so oxygen comes along with air, oxygen enters here, and same thing, the exchange of biochemical reactions are carried out there too. Means particularly with water is already there in the body, then hydrocarbons are already there in the body, chloride is already there. So these elements are exchanging as per the need, and they combine with hemoglobin. Hemoglobin of the blood is the main element where the oxygen combining, or hemoglobin is the red proteinous pigment which have capacity to bind the gases with them, either O2 or CO2. And in this way, to facilitate all biochemical reactions, to get the energy, the wastage is nothing but the carbon, and that CO2 is thrown outside the alveoli. So this is the simple exchange of gases between the lung and plasma. Next is the pulmonary respiration, or we can say external respiration. We have seen in previous the pulmonary and tissue respiration. So we have seen first, now we will see the second, pulmonary respiration. So atmospheric gases, whenever we inhale in the nasal or respiratory system, then it reaches to the alveoli, the basic unit, and where uptake of oxygen and release of carbon dioxide takes place, that we have seen already in this previous slide. Here oxygen enters and CO2 thrown outside. So this exchange is carried out here, and this is nothing but the respiration. So this exchange of gases between alveolar or air sac and fine blood capillaries is carried out due to diffusion. So this is the main way or mechanism by which the exchange of gases takes place. Diffusion is the method. The differential pressure of O2 and CO2 are responsible for this exchange. Means O2 is entering and CO2 is, whenever utilized, it is expelled out from the exhalation, through the exhalation process. So alveolar pressure, whenever it causes it carries the intake of oxygen that is about 100 mmHg. So pressure, air alveolar pressure is 100 mmHg, and whenever it combines with CO2, whenever it combines with oxygen, it has maximum pressure, and whenever it combines with carbon dioxide, it has only 40 mmHg. Means uptake needs maximum pressure and regaining needs low pressure. So alveolar capillaries, whenever the oxygen is entering the alveolar capillaries, it again shows 40 mmHg, means low, or we can say lost oxygen in the systematic circulation, and therefore the pressure again lowers down from 100 to 40. And here, in response, the carbon dioxide is joining, it requires 45 mmHg, because it picks up the oxygen from the systemic circulation, and therefore it needs some energy, or we can say it requires the pressure maximum, it causes the maximum pressure point than the O2. So this is 45 mmHg. So pressure in the body cells during resting period is as such that oxygen, means pressure of oxygen is 40 mmHg and pressure of carbon dioxide is 45 mmHg. So this is about the same, the alveolar capillaries and in a resting period. But in alveolar pressure, it changes from higher to lower. So this is the only mechanism that has to be remembered here in the pulmonary respiration, or we can say external respiratory mechanism. Next one is the transport of O2. Here we have seen transport of CO2, and in reverse the same reaction is there, but we will see in detail what is the transport of oxygen. So oxygen from the alveolar membrane to the capillaries is transported by diffusion, that we have already seen, and into the, whenever they diffuse, it passes into the blood. In blood, as the solubility of oxygen to water is very low, it combines with hemoglobin, as we have already seen in previous slide. Hemoglobin is the red blood pigment which have a binding capacity of gases, and therefore it carries the gases. So it binds with hemoglobin present in the red blood corpuscles and forms oxyhemoglobin group, means oxygen binding with hemoglobin, therefore it is called a oxyhemoglobin group, or HbO2 is the name. Here is the HbO2, it is called as oxyhemoglobin. Whenever hemoglobin combines with oxygen, it is called as oxyhemoglobin, HbO2. So the oxygen in this form is transported to the tissues, means only oxygen is not transporting, so hemoglobin is carrying out, therefore it is in the form of oxyhemoglobin. About 98.5% of all oxygen binded with hemoglobin of the blood, and only 1.5% binded with plasma. So plasma have a low capacity, but it is definite, and this combination is dependent on the partial pressure of the oxygen and its degree of saturation with hemoglobin, means how much oxygen is combining, what is the pressure of oxygen at that time, and what is the degree of saturation with hemoglobin, means how much, what is the gases present already there with hemoglobin, either hemoglobin is free or not, and in this way the total transport of oxygen is to be observed. The same thing, the transport of carbon dioxide. We have seen the previous slide of transport of carbon dioxide, but this is here. Now we will see transport of carbon dioxide from tissues to lungs and from lungs to tissues. This is the vice versa, and this is the two-way transport of oxygen. We will see in the another slide. Transportation of carbon dioxide is carried out by the red blood cells as well as by plasma. After oxidation of food by oxygen in the tissues, CO2 is formed, and that CO2 is carried out by blood into the alveolus, or we can say the basic unit of the respiration in the lungs. Here that CO2 diffuses into the lungs by the enzyme carbonic anhydrase, and which is present in RBC. And from the alveolus of the lungs, CO2 is expelled out with exhalation, that we have seen in the previous slide. In reverse. So this slide is reversed in this way, from tissue to the blood, or we can say plasma cells. So the combination of CO2 with hemoglobin forms carbaminohemoglobin. As we have seen that oxyhemoglobin, this is carbaminohemoglobin, means binding of O2 and binding of CO2. This is of about 30% only. Not total CO2 is combining, only 30%. When CO2 combines with water to form bicarbonate and transported about 60%, and the rest of 10% is transported with plasma. So plasma is the element which transport minimum of oxygen, and in this way, that we have already seen in previous slide, that hemoglobin combines with carbon dioxide and forms carbaminohemoglobin or HbCO2. So these are the two reactions. First, CO2 transport by plasma. So CO2 dissolves in water or plasma and forms carbonic acid. So in this way, H2CO3, carbonic acid, H2O plus CO2, water and carbon dioxide. So this forms a carbonic acid. And in second, the CO2 transport by RBC, here transport by plasma. So CO2 transport by RBC. CO2 is also transported by corpuscles with tension gradient, and the enzyme carbonic anhydrase speed of the reaction. So this is the H2CO3 and H2N CO2. So carbonic anhydrase, whatever the group is formed, that speed up the reaction of transport of gases. In this way, the transport of CO2 by plasma and transport of CO2 by blood, both ways, is carried out, and the mechanism is as such. In last slide we have seen from lungs to blood, and here from tissues to blood, because from lungs to blood and blood to tissue is the process. Now from tissues, whenever the cell utilizes oxygen, it converts into CO2, and that CO2 is transported by this lung membrane or tissue cell membrane and enters into the alveolus of the lung wall. From here, this is lung wall, from here it is tissue. So from it is a lung wall, it enters into the, and again the expiration, like inspiration and expiration. These are the two methods, where this is the carbonic group we have already seen, this is CO2, this is water. We can call it as a, this is also known as Bohr's effect. When H2O from blood cells, H2O from blood cells is carried out or exchanges from the molecules, then Bohr effect occurs. So this is about the lung respiration, pulmonary respiration, systemic or tissue respiration. So this is about the total exchange of gases. Now when your blood reaches at the end, means absorbed tissues, as the air comes from environment into the lungs, from lungs to the bronchioles, from bronchioles to the lung alveolus, from alveolus to the blood, and blood carries the hemoglobin that we have seen, carries the oxygen into the tissues, and exact exchange of oxygen with the carbon dioxide is carried out in tissue level or end level of the respiration. So inspired gases with maximum oxygen reaches to the lungs, and then it enters into the blood, and after entering into the blood corpuscle, it enters into the tissues where the internal respiration exactly starts or takes place. Here the oxygen takes part in oxidation of the food, because without oxidation the food is not giving energy to the cells or the tissues. Therefore oxidation is the must, which is carried out in presence of oxygen, and oxidation of food material and energy is released. This is very simple mechanism, and during the same intracellular use of the oxygen it forms ATP or adenosine triphosphate. This is the energy rich compound, and also heat is released during that reaction, and therefore the expired air is somewhat hot than the inspired air as it enters through the body, and body temperature changes its temperature. So this ATP or adenosine triphosphate is used as a readily available source of cell metabolism, and in this way the oxygen metabolizes the cellular components. The cellular respiration is the oxidation of glucose, C6H12NO6 is the formula, and the cell respiration cycle also depends on the reduction of NAD plus to NADH and the vice versa. So nicotinamide adenine diphosphate is nothing but the NAD, and hydrogen group is attaching here and it transfers into NADH. And in this simple reaction, the C6H12 and O6, the glucose reaction, the 6O2 or oxygen molecules enters or combines and forms 6CO2 plus 6H22. So this is very simple mechanism in which the metabolism and oxidation is the result whenever the oxygen enters and CO2 releases, and this is whole about the tissue respiration. So we will see the next topic in the next lecture. So till then, see you.